rationale, right? And for you all, your rationales are going to be due on Monday. Fourth period back there. Your rationales are due on Monday as well, okay? You will not, I want to stress, you will not have time to write in class on Monday. I'm going to start Their Eyes Were Watching God. So if that means you need to type over the weekend or come in during break on Monday and talk to me and get it done for your rationale, then you need to do that, okay? You will have most of the day today to finish writing your op-eds and start your rationales. Are we good with that? But you guys have the day off Friday, so you know, find some time to grab a computer and finish your rationale, all right? While you're working today on your op-eds, make sure if you're done that you get somebody to edit it. Please have someone peer edit it. I really don't want Mr. Rice and myself going over and telling you where to put commas and periods, because then it's like I'm grading my own grammar, and my own grammar is not that good, so you don't want me to do it. Okay, so look up here real quick. I just wanted, before I jump into how to do the op-ed, I want to show you this. If you go to your courses and you go here, you all are, we go to written task 1. Okay? First, before I jump in on the lesson, notice something. You turn in the op-ed here, you turn in the rationale here. Last time I put them together, this time they're separate. Okay, it seemed to confuse people, so you need a separate document. Does that work for you? Are we good with that? So submit this here. I'll be able to see Friday if you submitted this on time.
It says Friday, October 7th.
Whatever, don't worry about that. I can see the date and exact time you turned it in, so I'll know if you turned it in on time. This one is where you submit for this, okay? I will say, if you get completely stuck and you're lost and you can't upload, just print it out, okay? I actually would love some of you, if you're done, to print it out today. It's a little easier for me, but whatever. Submit the op-ed here, submit the rationale here. We go with that? So real quick, how do you write your rationale then? Let me show you. On your paper, hello. On this same page. And let me back up just 1 second here. You all, look at this. Look at this folder, written task 1. I want to reiterate, this folder right here, this is where we're going to put all of our written tasks for the whole semester. So we know where they're at, right? You know where they're at. Got it? Your rationales, all written task 1s are going to go here. We're going to do one for Their Eyes Were Watching God. We're going to do one on language and gender. They all go here. Okay? Now, how do I write a rationale? I went ahead and put another template up because the last one seemed to confuse you all. You all read the last one and you guys were like, Mr. Miller, I don't get it. Like, I don't get how to do it. Your questions are too much. Okay? So, let's say this first about the rationale. We are overcomplicating it completely. If I look at that rubric, if I added up all the points on the rubric for your written task 1, and I look at how IB grades it, this baby right here, right? 8 points, 5 points, 5 points. That's 18. This is only worth 2. So the whole rationale, even though it's 300 words, is only worth 2 points of your 20 points for your written task. So why in the world does IB why do they make you do that? Why make you write an extra 300 words for only 2 points? And it's because the rationale's function isn't to see if you can write. The rationale's function is just to guide your reader to tell them what to look for. I want you to imagine the people, the IB graders who are grading this, have to grade 500, right? If you tell them what they need to grade, like this is what I want you to see, you're more likely to get your points for it. So it's almost like your rationale is telling them how to annotate your op-ed or your written task. Does that make sense? A little bit? So you don't need to like quote your own text. You don't need to quote other texts. You really just need to explain what you did very, very simply. So I said, paragraph 1. And this baby can only be 300 words. I didn't say it needs to be. I said it can only be 300 words. They won't allow you to do more than that. So they don't want you to spend all your time on it. Okay? Paragraph 1. Explain what we've studied and what you're writing and why. Watch this. I think this will help you guys better. I went ahead and I grabbed a kid that got a perfect 2 on his rationale from the IB website. Remember paragraph 1, explain what you wrote. Watch what this kid does. In class, for part 2 of the course, we studied how the media create bias through the use of language, image in their news coverage. Oh, so all you have to do is say, in class, we studied Ebonics, how it's a dialect versus a language, how we're supposed to teach it, and its cultural implications. Right? That's pretty simple, isn't it? For my written task 1, I've decided to show this understanding of the topic by writing an opinion column, examining how textual bias. For my written task 1, I've decided to write an op-ed, right, for a newspaper, examining about how Ebonics should be taught in school. Does that make sense? So like basically if you look at this as a template, it should be pretty easy. If I go back up, scroll back up. Paragraph 2, explain why an op-ed, gentlemen, off your phone. Explain why an op-ed about Ebonics instruction is suitable to this task. So in other words, paragraph 1, what do? Paragraph 2, why does an op-ed work? Right? This kid says, an opinion column is suitable to the task because it allows me to express my views. You could probably say something similar. An op-ed is suitable to this task because it's controversial about how we're supposed to teach it, and I wanted to express my opinion about it. Right? I didn't want to just report on it. I wanted to express my opinion about it, right? Because I'm a student and this matters in my life. Does that make sense? Additionally, right? Why, therefore, an opinion column is appropriate to this test type for the text since language is used in sports coverage. So basically, it goes in to explain how the task or the topic itself is controversial, therefore it's an opinion. That's all you do here, right? It's really, really simple. This kid's, their task is slightly different than yours, but what they wrote is going to be pretty similar to what you write, okay? Now, additionally, sorry. 3, explain why techniques of the op-ed and argument are used to create an effective piece. This is where it gets really more important for you. What are techniques of the op-ed that we use to convince people? News hooks, leads, counterclaims and arguments. We might use rhetorical questions, right? Does that make sense? We might do on our conclusions, we might do a call to action. You might have written it in a conversational tone, okay? So for part 3, you name the techniques you used. Most of them are going to be op-ed techniques. So you name the techniques you used for the text type that you wrote about and explain how you did that. Does that make sense? And again, so he said, I use a conversational tone and rhetorical questions to persuade the reader to consider my point of view. That's not rocket science, right? We got that. You can do that. The short structured paragraph make it easier for the reader to pay attention and understand my purpose. So you're just talking about your own piece, what techniques you use to persuade your reader, because it's an op-ed, it's an opinion. And finally, the last thing, I just explain what challenges I face and how I overcame them. So for you, you might say like, you know, I had difficulty both talking about how it was a dialect, but also explaining how we didn't need to teach it, right? Or you might say like the op-ed conversation style was difficult for me to write in because I felt like I needed to write a report, cite evidence and text, but an op-ed needs to be all in my own words. Does that make sense? So really you just talk about what's difficult and then how you fixed it. This guy said to avoid being biased, so his difficulty was like just having his own bias. I also highlighted that although sports news coverage tend to focus too much on female athletes and their personal lives or appearances, this is not always the case. So in other words, he says to avoid being biased, he recognized his counterclaim. That makes sense? So that's it. Real quick to review. You talk about what we studied in the course and then what you decided to write because of that. And I know you guys didn't have a choice, but pretend like you did. Then you explain how an op-ed that we're writing is suitable for this topic, right? Like, why not write a picture book? Why not write a novel for this? Doesn't make sense, right? Opinion column makes sense. Explain that to me. op-ed did you use? Got it? And 4, what challenges did you have and how did you overcome them? That's it. Are we good with that? Everybody feels pretty good with that? Okay. I might upload this video for you all as well. So you have it. So it'll be on Schoology. It'll be on my 4th period one. And we're good. So we can go to the library and finish. Bye.